back to Double Down University. I'm back at you guys with another KBO PrizePicks video. I have three props for you guys tonight. I have Austin Dean over 2 hits, runs, and RBIs. Kim Do-young over 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, as well as, last but not least, Hung Jung Ryu, who many of you guys may know him, who pitched last year for the Toronto Blue Jays. He is in the KBO now, and I like his pitching outs over 16.5. So let's get into it. First off, I like to look at just team totals because it kind of gives you a pretty much of a game script on how the game is going to play out. I like to look at team totals because that's very important when you take hits, runs, and RBIs. So in this matchup, we have the first matchup. We have Kia versus NC Dinos, which will be the Kim Do-young matchup, right? So Kia is projected to have anywhere between 5 to 6 runs, as they're slightly favored to go under the 6.5 run line. And then also for our next matchup is the LG Twins versus the Lotte Giants. And they also have a healthy number of 6.5 shaded to the under, so they're projected right along with them to get 5 to 6 runs. And then also, last but not least, is our Hanwha's team total, which is 4.5, and Samsung, which is 4.5 as well. But they're both shaded to the under. But the most important part is we want to take this, especially when we're dealing with our pitcher from the Hanwha Eagles. We want to take it just first 5 innings because that is most likely when he's going to pitch the majority of his his start, which is 5 innings, 5 to 6 innings. If we can get 6 innings out of him, that's great. But the key thing here is that they're shaded to the under for 2.5 runs. Samsung, their team total shaded to the under. Now, that granted, that doesn't mean that he's going to go over his number, but it is a good indication of we should get less base runners, or even if we do have base runners, we should get them stranded. But I'll show you guys some key things that I found about Samsung a little later when we break him down. But let's start off with Kim Do-young. So Kim Do-young is going up against uh, Min Ying Shin, if I'm pronouncing that right. So he is the pitcher for the NC Dinos, if I'm correct. So in this matchup, he has a low K percentage, which I touched on countless times in all of my videos. We look for low K percentage, high walk percentage. We look for low left on base percentage, as well as ERA and FIP. FIP is a big telling sign in KBO because I preach this over and over again that the defense is horrible. Um, it's almost like if you watch single A baseball, imagine 2 steps below that. That's how bad the fielding is in this league. So fielding is really, really important in this league, especially when we get to the pitcher portion of it. But he has a 5.40 FIP, which is horrible. He has a left on base percentage of 71%, so that's about average to a little below average. And then also he has a 13% K rate, so he doesn't really strike anybody out. He has a really good walk percentage. He doesn't walk a lot of batters, which, I feel like everybody has a plan till they get hit in the mouth. So, if he induces, let's say it's a 3-0 count or 2-0 count, he may be more susceptible to walk, a Kia hitter, which is one of the best hitting teams in the KBO. So he has a really, really tough matchup tonight. And then also, let's see what else. He doesn't have a great ground ball percentage, as he has a 42% ground ball percentage. So he mostly relies on fly balls to get out, and that's a bad thing when you have a low K percentage because you're going to get hit hard for hard contact. So that bodes well in our favor as well. But another thing here is when you look at his splits, he is, let's go to batter first. So for batters, he's given up pretty much even batting average to both sides of the plate, but slightly higher by 1 point higher to righties as opposed to lefties. So we're going to target him with one of the best right-handed hitting batters in KBO, and my guy Do-young Kim, or Kim Do-young as we like to call him. So same thing with him. Reason why I love him so much is because he has a low K percentage, high walk percentage. I touched on this last night. He has 16% K rate, which doesn't really strike out much. Has a 10% walk rate, which is really, really good. And then has an elite ISO power number of 288. And then also has an elite balls batted in play batting average of 378, as well as a really, really elite on base percentage at 243. 423, excuse me, and then a elite WOBA and an elite WRC plus. At his WOBA is 455, 459, and then his WRC plus is 69 points above the average of 100 at 169. So I really like that as well. But the key thing, why I'm always going to go double back to him, is for one of two things, especially against righties. Has a batting average of 371 against righties, and then also his power increases, as you see, 16 home runs, 37 RBIs, and then also his walks nearly triple at 30 compared to 9 versus lefties. And then the biggest thing that I always look for is your runners in scoring position. What is your batting average? He is batting 330 with runners in scoring position. With runners on base, no matter where they are, he's batting 335. And then runners with no runners on, bases empty, he bats 373. So that means that he can be able to create for himself and be able to get on base and create something for himself. So that is a key factor. So that is why I like Kim Do Young. Moving forward to the next candidate, which is Austin Dean. He's going up against Sinwoo Park. And in this matchup, same thing, low K percentage, higher walk rate. He has 16% K percentage, 7% walk rate. And then also he has a batting average against at 277, which is not bad. He has an average, a little higher than average whip at 1.44. And then he also has a really good balls batted in play, more so conducive to the hitter at 325. And then he has a really good, or really poor, I should say, but bodes well for the hitter. Left on base percentage of 60%. League average is around 72, so he's well below that, well short of that. His FIP score, I'll harp on that again, is really low at 4.22. So I really like that as well. And then when we come to look at him, he's a heavy ground ball pitcher. 70% of his contact that goes against him is ground balls. And then he has a 22% fly ball rate. So more so ground ball rate than fly ball type of pitcher. But the thing I um the thing I like about him in this matchup is, let's see, let's go here. Okay, so with him, he is pretty solid against both sides of the plate, doesn't give up anywhere north of 300 a batting average, but he has a slightly higher batting average against two righties as opposed to lefties. As you can see here, he gives up a 296 batting average to righties and a 267 batting average to lefties. His runners on base is okay. Like runners in scoring position, gives up a 271, batting average, bases loaded 264, and then runners on second and third base, he gives up a higher batting average of 571. And then let's see, with runners on only first base, he gives up a 333 batting average as well. So I really like him to get hit around. And then also, let's go to Austin Dean, and I'll show you guys one thing. When I was deciding on whether to take him or his teammate, Austin Dean, the biggest thing I see, as you guys can see, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Zoom in. His batting average to righties as opposed to his batting average against lefties. He bats 332 against righties as opposed to 265 against lefties. And then he also, same thing as Kim Do Young, has more home run power as well as more RBI potential and more walk potential, as he has a heavy increase on all three of those key categories. And then with him, with runners in scoring position, he's batting 292. And then with runners, just runners on base, he's batting 286. With runners on second and third base, he's batting 275. So he can be really good at getting sacrifice flies as well as first and third. He bats 385, excuse me. So I really like him in this matchup for the same reasons. And then moving forward to our last but not least, Mr. Hung Jung Ryu, who, like I said, he pitched formerly of the Toronto Blue Jays. As you can see here, his 2023 totals. But for this year, one thing that I noticed about him more than last year or more than the last 3 years is that his ground ball rate, as you can see here, has way like increased by almost 21%. That he's inducing more ground ball contact than he did in his last 3 years in the MLB. And a lot of that is due to like throwing sinkers and throwing like cut fastballs that are low in the zone that leads to induced contact of ground balls as opposed to fly balls. Um, and then also, let's see, his K percentage. Let's scroll up a little bit. I think he went down too far. So his K percentage is right around league average of 20%. He has a good walk percentage of only walking 5% of the batters that he faced. He has a pretty solid batting average against at 271. Has an average whip at 130, which is right around league average, or really bang on league average at 1.30. He has a balls batted in play of 334. But like I said, when you're a heavy ground ball, if you guys watched any of my previous videos, you know that if you're a heavy ground ball pitcher, you're going to give up a lot of hard contact and you're going to be able to see a balls batted in play average of over 300, as his balls batted in play is 334. He also has a left on base. Oh man, what in the world is my computer doing? So he has a left on base percentage of 64%, which is a little concerning, but I'll tell you why it's not concerning right here. So one thing when I was looking at just Samsung as a whole and how they hit. So let's go to their batting. Let's go right here. So batting average in the KBO, right? They are the worst team in the league at 266 batting average, as well as on base percentage, which is key to keeping people off base and being able to get quick and efficient innings. They are league second worst in on base percentage at 346. Let's see what else. Hits, they're like middle tier. They have 868 hits, which is bottom four, so that bodes well as well. Let's see what else. Oh, one more thing. Big. This is a big key factor too. Is fielding percentage, and I touched on this a while ago when I went and took a hitting not hitting, excuse me, pitcher's pitching outs, because this leads to less stressful innings. Also leads to not overthrowing more pitches than you need to in an inning where you run your pitch count up. And they are the let's see, where are they? Hanwha, they're top five and fielding percentage. They're not bad. They do turn a lot of double plays, as you can see here. They're top three in turning double plays, which is excellent for a ground ball pitcher because they will induce contact. So if they get a runner on first base, he can easily turn a double play and be able to get out of the inning with less pitches than he would if he were just a strikeout pitcher and just tries to go 1v1 and try to strike out every batter. So I like him in this spot as well. And I think, and then another key factor, excuse me, I'm just going to go to his game logs real quick and show you guys one big thing that I noticed that stuck out to me about him. Come on. Let's see. All right. So if you notice one thing about him is we're going to go to opponents, right? We're going to scroll all the way down because he pitched way more road games than he did home, which is crazy to me. He only has like 5 home games that he's pitched this year. But one thing that is of a theme here is that, for one, they allow him to pitch deeper into games. They allow him to have a longer leash in home games as opposed to road games, which I don't know why, or for what reason. But as you can see here, he pitched 104 pitches and 7 innings against KT. And then he pitched against KT again. He had 89 pitches, but pitched an effective 6 innings. And then against Kiwoom, 101 pitches, 8 innings pitched. And then against NC Dinos, he had 110 pitches, 6 innings pitched. And then against SSG, 103, 6 innings pitched. So he's went over this projected line of 16 and a half. So 16 and a half, you really only need to get out of the 6 innings. So pitch 6 innings and you'll be good for the 16 and a half. And he's pitched over that in all 5 of his home starts this year. So I really like that. But, which was weird for some reason that they allow him to pitch deeper into games at home as opposed to on the road. But Being though, that is what it is. I really like his over 16.5 pitching outs. I think earlier it was at 15.5. I missed out on that. So I like the 16.5 just as good. Hopefully he's efficient and effective. And let me go back and select these props for you guys because they done disappeared on me. So we have Austin Dean over 2 hits, runs, and RBIs. That's the first one. We have Kim Do Young over 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. It's the second one. And then we have pitching outs for the only person on the board for pitching outs, which is Hung Jung Ryu over 16.5 pitching outs. So those are the three that I really, really like. Oh, and one more thing that I was going to show you guys that I skipped over and forgot about. So when I was thinking about, Austin Dean or his teammate, their splits tell me everything, and that his teammate struggles with righties as opposed to against lefties. So in lefty matchups, I will kind of flip flop and go towards more Dungwon Park as opposed to Austin Dean because he has a um, favorable splits against lefties as opposed to righties. So I really really like that as well. So yeah, so those are the three that I have for you guys. I'll read them off one more time and then I'll get up out of here. So Austin Dean over 2 hits, runs, and RBIs. Kim Do Young over 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, as well as Hung Jung Ryu over 16.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I appreciate you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and best of luck. And let's go.